Are you stuck or stagnant in your current career? Well, I am thrilled to introduce you to my friend Justin today, because he's going to talk about how you could add another 30 grand or more to your career, your bottom line with your career. Like, oh my gosh, let me check us out. I'm going to interview Justin. This is Justin Boyum, and he is a U.S. Army officer veteran, now co-owner of his company, Stone Allen, and he's specializing in career development and sales performance. He helps professionals and leaders land their dream jobs. And I love this part, add 30K or more to their income without getting lost in the online recruiter black hole. Love that. He's now on a mission to help people get paid what they're worth and have fun and crush it. So welcome, Justin.
Thanks, Angie. So thanks so much for having me. And I want to start by saying, like, it's just an honor to be on the phone with you, and like, you're doing some awesome things. You help people with their energy, with your awesomeness. And I know you're out there like just crushing it for people and helping support your clients and your audience. And it's just a blessing to be here. Just want to start with that. So thanks so much for having me.
Oh, thank you, Justin. It's so kind. I love it. Love fest. Yeah, and it's the work we do is so important. And I am just thrilled that you're in this space. So I'm thrilled to learn about this. I'm going to ask you a few questions, and I'm excited. Tell me, what inspired you to get started in this career development?
I love that. Thanks. That's a great question. I think it kind of started like it's a little bit of a long journey, but I really started when I got out of the military. Oh man, it's a long time ago. I don't want to date myself, but it was a while ago. And I got out of the military, and I think I like what a lot of people do at some point in their career. If you're like me, it's when you got out of the military, we out of school, and you're like, now what? Now what am I going to go do? And you don't know how to go and speak that new language, and you're not sure what you want to go do. You're not sure what's a good company. I don't know. There's no way to know that. And it could also be just after you've been in for 10 years, just trying to still figure it out. Like, and you just don't never feel like you really belong. It's, how do I go communicate that language? What do I have all the right certifications? Like, are they going to see me the way that I want to be seen? And unfortunately, a lot of people in our careers, like, and I don't know if this happened to you, it happened to me. I'm just trying different things. Right. And I can't tell you how many people I talk to that they're just like, they never feel like they have a home in their career. And I felt that way. And that's how I felt. And so that's when I transitioned into coaching after having found success in my career. I was like, man, I really want to share this with other people, other veterans like myself, other people coming out of school, or people who've been in the career for 10 years and then never felt like they really loved it or liked it. They always felt like a number, and just really finally go from having a job to being in a career. And so what I did was I found out, like, oh, well, how was I able to go get all those jobs? And I found out what the systems and the psychology behind that is. And so we could really systematize and make that process so much easier, so much clarity to knowing that you're not just getting another job, but you're finding something that's actually a fit for who you are as an individual, so that you're not going to have that immediate burnout within the first 6 to 12 months at your next job. And that's how we discovered, that's how I got into this. And now we're just helping more and more people really identify what their true unique values are and match their career to that, so that there's not that burnout, so they know that they're on the right legacy track for them. And that's how it kind of started that. So that question, that was so fun. Like that's what we're doing here.
That's wonderful. I love the backstories, because to me, it makes such a difference to know who's behind a company and what the values are. And that's the story. And especially the fact that you're a veteran, a military veteran, that's powerful. That alone, that whole segment of population alone is, I could totally see this as a perfect niche for that. But even anybody in a career, like, especially when you graduate high school, it's like, what do you want to do the rest of your life? I can only imagine once you get out of the military, what do you want to do the rest of your life?
Yeah.
It's a transition.
Total change. Yeah, that's what, like, my business partner Tyler and I, that's why we got to partner up. And so take what I learned as a military veteran and as somebody who'd been in corporate careers and moving around and trained as a high performance coach, taking those concepts that make people successful, and then partnering with someone like my business partner Tyler, who's got a 20+ year career as a senior technical recruiter and talent acquisition executive, working for companies like SpaceX, National Instruments, and seeing what the actual behind the scenes processes are in the HR world or the talent acquisition world, and marry those two things up to make a real, true, repeatable system that makes it easier for people to know that they're doing what they were meant to do.
Oh, I'm glad I asked that. That was brilliant. Oh my goodness. But then I'm anxious to hear. You obviously have a process. Can you share some of that with us?
Yeah, I'd love to share with it. So I don't know if anybody who will be watching this, whether they're watching it like live now or on recording, like if you've ever gone through and you've got that great job, and there's so much excitement when you get a job, even if it's not like, you don't know for sure if it's your dream job, but like, oh, somebody said yes to me. It's like, it's like a little mini marriage kind of thing. Like, so there's this honeymoon period, and then, I don't know, 30 days to 6 months from there that you're like, oh my gosh, this is not exactly what I thought it was going to be when I got there. Because now you can learn, right? Because, in the interview process, everybody's putting their best foot forward, right? They're doing the best they can to try to sell that image that this is going to be a perfect fit, because there's a lot, and unfortunately we feel a lot of pressure in those moments. So what we wanted to do was we wanted to figure out like why those kinds of things happen. And so the reason is what we want to do is we want to take the career search process, either from a candidate perspective or from the company perspective, and take it out of the transactional space. I don't know about you, like, if you ever like gone to go buy a refrigerator, right? And you go to like Home Depot or Best Buy or wherever they have all the refrigerators, and you're looking at all of them, and they all got the same thing. Right? They cost different, but they all do the same thing. What do? They refrigerate stuff, right? Or they freeze stuff, right? And that at the end of the day, if you're only looking at the parts and whatever the little systems are that they're using, but at the end of the day, if they just refrigerate stuff, it's hard for you to differentiate why they should buy yours as opposed to another one. Right? And that's very transactional. But the thing is if it's your career, you're not trying to sell just a makeup of parts, because the truth is there's always another refrigerator with more parts, with more features, right? That's not why you're getting it, right? And so the way to move forward to get something that you were actually meant to do, and most people come to us and they're already like, I'm not getting the interviews, or I'm not getting the offer at the end. And the truth is it really starts back out with that, who you are. What makes you unique and different? Now, I don't want to get into church here with people in your audience here, but we can look at this from a scientific perspective or a religious perspective, right? From the religious perspective, at least in my faith, right? We think that you're fearfully and wonderfully made. You are a unique individual. And then scientifically, we can go like, listen, there's only one strand of DNA that's Angie, right? Yes. And so you have that uniqueness about you, combined with what your actual lived experience is, that makes you somebody that there's not another Angie out on the market. But we've got to be clear about what that is. And so what we got to do is we dive in on, personality, on your values, on the emotional intelligence that you bring to the table, so that we can take that data that's different than anybody else's, there's your unique combination, and then put that into more of a branding campaign. You got to think about it. You're going and making a huge sale, right? And sometimes you're going to ask a company to pay $200,000, $300,000 for you per year. You're making a huge sale. We've got to know exactly how to brand that product that makes that company go, Angie's my gal. We've got to have more Angie. That's what we need here. Yeah. And so we build an actual unique branding campaign. I like to use it in the military. It's like, what's your mission statement? Right? Like, I know what I'm going to accomplish if I bring Angie into the fold here. And so we have to build that branding message. And sure, there's tools like Resume, there's tools like LinkedIn, absolutely. But those are just tools. They're only going to produce based on the messaging that you're using. And so we've got to build the brand messaging that attracts the type of opportunities that are a dream fit for you. And then once you finish that, I don't know, does that make sense, Angie? I don't want to keep going. If I'm having so much fun, I almost get tracked. I want to check in with you. But
yeah, it's fascinating. Because from a career standpoint, I don't know, branding a career, it's just not something that I don't think people think about. To brand a career. I mean, you brand, like as a business owner, I brand products and businesses, but a career, I like that. That's very important. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, because you're the product in this case. Not, again, we're not selling a refrigerator. We're selling a very unique solution to somebody by having you there. But you have to have that brand messaging, and then it's just like any other product. Once you know exactly what brand messaging you have, how you can help solve problems for somebody, well, you got to go find prospects to go sell that product to. and you got to know who to go talk to, how to talk to them to create the sales conversation, in this case, an interview, and go create opportunities rather than just post your resume online and hope something comes back to you. Take an active role in being able to create those opportunities, and then leverage that same branding and those foundations that we talked about and knowing who you are into just delivering that impact, proving that you can help them by just actually helping them. And we had one of our clients, Brian, who he had been laid off 2 weeks after starting with us because he had a bad, raise your hand or say, say leaders in the chat if you know what I'm talking about. He just had a bad relationship with his leaders. He told us that coming in, like, I'm going to leave because I can't stand my boss. Well, they walked him out 2 weeks later, right? Because of this relationship. And you can look at that however you want, but he did get walked out. Well, within 6 weeks, he had like 50 interviews.
Nice.
And he ended up accepting amongst 4 different offers. And he told us, he's like, man, I was getting told in the interview process that I was really good at interviewing, and they got a ton of value out of just speaking with me because he was speaking his value and the way that he could help solve problems in those interviews in a very unique way. And so that's kind of our process. If we look at it, we go like it starts with the core of who you are, build a branding message, and then actually taking that to the market for where people are really looking for that exact solution.
Wow. So your process actually works with the individual to make that happen for themselves. Wow.
Yeah, actually works with the individuals to happen for themselves, for sure. And that's going to give you tons of advantages when it comes to not only creating the interview process, but when you're negotiating and you didn't come through some third-party recruiter like I used to be, that they're also going to have to pay, man, like your negotiating power just goes through the roof.
Wow, that's amazing. That sounds so awesome. Like what would hold someone back from doing this, the process like this with you, with your company? Like what holds people back?
Yeah, that's a great question. And so like funny, like when I talk about it, like to me, just because I've been in this world, it's like, man, this just makes so much sense. But
yeah,
and I've been there. I know going in and not knowing what I wanted when I was in corporate, like trying to figure out what was the right career for me, and going like, you know what, it'd be great to go over here to this company, but I don't know that, like, it's not going to happen for me. They're not going to notice me because I don't have the right experience. Right. That's what like a lot of people just get, and they go like, I'm not sure that I can do this. I don't know if that's ever happened to you, but and it's easy to get that imposter syndrome of like, they're just never going to notice me. It's never going to happen. And I got to say that it can happen because we're not talking about your specific experience. We're talking about the value that you uniquely bring. So we can take somebody like Lupe, who's one of our recent grads, our recent success stories. I can't wait to have his video for you guys to share with you. But he was a high school football coach, and he was just hired as the general manager of a construction company.
Nice.
Well, how was he able to do that? He doesn't know anything about construction. Right. And the truth is, if you're able to develop, demonstrate your value to somebody, your experience is irrelevant because most of what he needs to know for construction can be learned. Right. That's the truth is that most of us aren't trying to become rocket scientists. Almost everything can be learned of what you need to do, but the values that you bring is the things that they can't buy.
It's brilliant.
And so that's why I want to communicate that. So I just want to encourage you, if you're kind of there and you're considering like, man, I'd love to go work for this Fortune 500 company, or I'd like to get involved in this startup and I want to be in charge, like, but I don't have the experience to be able to show that. Like you do. Like you absolutely have the experience. It's not being communicated right now. And you
not being communicated. That's I like that. That's very that's powerful.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'll say this too. Tyler tells this story about Elon Musk when he used to do recruiting for SpaceX. Elon Musk would review every engineering application, the offers that went out to an engineer, and he would look at the applications for that engineer once the offer went out. And if he couldn't see the special sauce in the profile of that person or the notes from the recruiter, he would challenge them on it and sometimes even call that engineer to make sure that they had that special sauce. And so that's what we're in here to do, is to help you. Like, what's your special sauce? Every single one of us has one, whether you believe it or not. And if you don't believe it, don't worry, we'll help you with that. But you have one, and all you got to do is be able to show them.
Oh, that's awesome. Awesome. Wow. That's so powerful. It's so amazing what you do. I know there's got to be some other things that hold people back though, from actually jumping into, because I mean, people like just try to wing it out there mostly, I would assume. And, rather than, hey, Justin's got this great solution. So what's holding people back from, other than knowing about your solution, which now they know, what else holds people back?
Problem number one solved. They know now. Well, that's it. That is an interesting question, right? Because there's a number of factors, and we're sensitive to that. I'd say the other, like one of the main things that holds people back is just having the time to focus on these things, right? We get told all that, like most people are busy, right? Like there's plenty of entrepreneurs out there that are hustling and making things happen. But if you're in a career, you've got a 40+ hour per week job and a family, it's hard to be able to spend the time and invest the time in yourself to really learn how to make this process happen. 100%, if you've got a degree in something, if you went to college, like most Americans are encouraged to do, right? You probably got a degree in whatever your specialty was, but you didn't get that minor in career change. Did you take the course on how to get a job? Nobody took that course.
Nope.
Right. And there isn't a course on that. There's actually 0 courses on it. Like they'll teach you on the subject matter that you want to be an expert in or be qualified in, but then they won't teach you how to go and actually implement it. How to go work with a company that will allow you to be that person. And it's hard. You got time. You think back to when you were in college, like what it took to learn all of that, whether you did it on the side or you did it full time, it's a lot of effort. And it's the same thing on making your career changes. It's going to take time. And if you don't know what to do, like how many books are there on career? There's a ton of books on career, right? How could you do that? So taking the time to invest in yourself and learn how to do this is the thing that really holds most people back. They think that I don't have the time, right? Which is why if you follow a system that can be proven, where you don't have to go and research all those other, like here's the different ways of doing that, like there's all these different strategies, but following a system that's proven that can help save you that time is the thing that can get you over that hump. And that's another thing that holds people up, which is why we've developed, the Stone Career Academy, as we call it.
That's awesome. How long would you say it takes someone, like if they're busy in their career, and they're like, oh my gosh, I now got to do this, career development thing. Like, how do people fit it in their life?
Right. There's tons of studies about that, about like how long it would take to make like this career transition, ideally to something that you really want to do. But in truth be told, that most of the data kind of averages out for every $10,000 a year you want to make, it's going to take you that many months to go find that job. Right. So for instance, if you want to make $120,000, it's going to take you a year to get into that position. Ideally, if you're going to go find something that's actually a fit for you. Now, the truth is there's tons of things online. You can go find opportunities. You can interview for roles fairly quickly, depending on the company. But is it going to be a dream fit for you? Is the next question, right? How many times are you going to change careers because you aren't getting to the right one? Right. Because I think the average person changes careers or jobs in their career lifespan like 5 to 10 times.
Wow.
Right. So if we just average that out, like you're going to spend probably 10 to 15 years of your career hopping companies and jobs and career paths before you find one that's kind of a fit. Wow. If you're just guessing at it. Right. And so you're still going to have some of those things like, oh, I wish I could do this or that. That's why it's so important that you focus on who you are and what's actually a dream fit for you, so that you're doing the messaging and the branding and connecting with the right people to be on the right track. So you save yourself that decade of time it took to get into the right position.
Wow, that's awesome. Do you have any? So I assume for yourself, this is kind of how you found the system. Is you
right? I did answer the other part of that question. How long is it normal to So that's the normal time, right? But if you have followed a system, you can be in your dream job within the next 3 to 6 months.
Oh, that's awesome.
By doing it this way.
That's
right. So,
awesome.
I mean, you can cut that time in half, right?
Okay.
If you're thinking about, because, if you're going to do this, you're not going to go it because you want to make pennies on the dollar. You're going to go for a real role. And that's what you want to do. So you can absolutely do it in 3 to 6 months, whether that's something you're looking for, you're early on in your career, or you could be like Melissa, who went from a director level role to a VP, and she did it in less than 6 months.
I love that. I love those stories. And for yourself, is that how, like, when you first got your career outside of the military, did it
yeah, I probably spent about a year looking for my first opportunity. Now, there are some circumstances to that. And then what I can say, although I didn't know I was doing this, when I never interviewed at multiple companies thereafter. I only interviewed with one company because I would find out where I wanted to work and the opportunity I wanted, and I would go interview for it and get it. Now, I didn't know all these other challenges, right? I didn't understand the systems that I was using. But when we look back on it, when Tyler and I partnered to create these systems, we're like, oh, this is repeatable process. This is why that worked there. Now, the unfortunate side is that I hadn't gone and invested in myself to learn what my unique superpowers were and what was a dream fit. That's why I was unhappy at some of those roles. Nothing wrong with the company. It's not their fault, right? It's just I didn't know what I really wanted. Right. But now I know that if you want that, by following this system, you can pick, hey, I want to work at this company, and you can go get a job there.
That's awesome. Oh, I love it. And sometimes I'm sure it's on the other side too. The company may have an idea of what they're looking for, but until you get in there and get someone in it, they may not even know how to describe the role they're looking for.
Well, that's the important reason of why you need to take control of this process for yourself. Because the companies, unfortunately, they're busy too, and they're really bad at interviewing. And so the worst thing that can happen is that they hire you for the wrong reasons. They hire you for the credentials that maybe you have, but they don't know what your uniqueness is. And then all of a sudden they're going to bring you in, and either they are going to be frustrated or you're going to be frustrated, or both, because you're not going to be allowed to operate the way that you were meant to.
Love it. Oh my gosh. Justin, thank you so much for sharing. I would love, is there, what would you say our listeners could do next to learn more about what you're up to with career development?
Oh, I know. Thanks so much for asking that. In fact, I know we've talked a lot about these big processes, and there's so much I could say that I couldn't say to you just on this short interview with you.
Sure.
And so that's why we created the Career Hacking Live Masterclass.
Ooh.
And because wouldn't it be cool, Angie, if I could just show you all of this in just a couple of hours, and just show you exactly what to go do, so we can help solve that clarity issue that is the disconnect behind what's causing people to have to hop careers all the time. Wouldn't I just if I could just show you that to a couple of hours, would that be cool? You think you think people would take me up on that? Would that be okay?
That's amazing. I love that name too. Career Hacking Live. Love that.
Yeah, absolutely. That's this point, right? You're trying to make things happen in your career. Well, we've got the hacking process to help you make that easy, right? Just cut right to what's going to work for you. And so we'd love to share it with you. We've got our event's coming up. We're going to do it here. If you just we'll post, can we post a link wherever here on this page or wherever you're sharing this, Angie? It's careerhackinglive.com. And we would love to have you join us. We'll answer all your questions while we're there. We're going to take you through the entire system so that you know exactly what it's going to take to go, not only get the next job, but get the dream job.
I love it. Thank you, Justin. Thank you for sharing with our community, and for all of you vibrant creators out there, thank you for watching. And definitely, if this spoke to you in any way, shape, or form, I would not hesitate to check out the link somewhere around where you see this video.
Side, up, down. I don't know
it'll be somewhere.
Yeah, I would love that. And thanks so much, Angie, for having me. It's such a blessing to be on here. I'm glad that, thankfully, by, technology standards today, that we can be wherever and have great conversations like this one. And thanks so much for having me.
It's amazing. So thank you so much. Awesome. So listeners, what else are you planting today to create that life you desire? So thank you. Take this knowledge and run with it. Love you guys.
Keep being awesome.
Yes, keep being awesome. Yeah.